All right, welcome back to the course. You now have a text view constraint in here, but we also need a date label, okay? So let's go flip over here, and it's basically that date label that we need, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to your application here, and let's go up to the code, and let's declare a date label right below our text view. So we'll say file private var date label is of type UI label, and that'll be a function that returns itself. We'll then say let label is equal to UI label, and we'll say label.font is equal to UI font.system font of size 14 with a weight of .light. This will give it a light font weight that is a little bit smaller, and it'll look pretty good. So along with that, we want the color to be a bit grayer, so we can change the color of the font by saying label.textColor is equal to .gray. And then for some placeholder text until we get that functionality in there with the dates, what we'll do is we'll just say label.text is equal to March 22nd, 2019 at 4:35 p.m. Let's say label.text alignment is equal to .center, and then we will simply return the label and we should be good to go. Okay, let's go ahead and let's compile this and just see if it works. Okay, so it's good. Let's go ahead and kill it. And later on, we will actually be using date objects, so don't worry about that. We're going to be using real date objects that will change depending on the date, okay? All right, next thing we will do is we'll go into setup UI. And before we do that, let's say label.translates auto-resizing mask and constraints is set to false. And then now we can go in here and say, let's say above here, let's say view.add subview, date label, and then we will activate some constraints below the text view add subview. All right, so we'll say date label dot top anchor dot constraint is equal to, and let's choose the one with a constant, and we'll just say view dot top anchor, and the constant's going to be 90, and we'll set it dot is active is equal to true. Okay, now let's go ahead and write a couple more constraints. We'll say date label, and what we can do is actually just copy the trailing and leading for the text view and paste it right here and say date label. Okay, that should be good. Now, we don't really need a bottom anchor because the text will actually give it a height of its own. Okay, so we should be good there. But now we want the text view to constrain to the bottom of the date label. So what we'll do is we'll take this date label and say date label.bottom anchor is where we want to constrain the text view.top anchor, all right? Okay, let's go ahead and compile our application and see what we get. And if we get errors, we'll fix them. And if we have any logical errors and it just doesn't look right, we'll fix that as well. All right, click into a folder, click into a note, and you're seeing that it looks really nice, okay? So that's how we add in the date label. And again, later on, we will modify the text according to the date that belongs into the data structure of the actual note, okay? Because there's gonna be a date for each note, and we're gonna modify the label based off it when we set data with did set up here, okay? That's all stuff we'll be learning in the next few sections. But for now, in the next section, what we're going to do is we're going to create the custom cells for our table views. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, let's jump into that right now.